All right, welcome in everybody. TIYF podcast. Oh, look who woke up. Jose the Fantasy Guru. What's up, man? So welcome into our viewers from wherever you are, most likely from our own fantasy leagues, TIYF and Fantasy Family. Let's get the show kicked off. So gonna be short one man on the crew today. Billy's not on the stream. Well, he's watching us. We got him here in spirit. Get well soon, Billy. But what I do have with me are a couple of pros. So we got Paul the Truth, and we got the Jose the Fantasy Guru. Start with you,
yes,
Paul.
Sir. Start with me first?
Yeah, starting with you first.
Let me get it out the way real quick one time. Raiders. Yo, man. What a fantasy week, man. My Raiders won. Yo, it's good, man. It's good. I'm excited. We got a lot of waivers to go over, man. It's gonna be a good pod today.
Nice. Jose, how you doing, man?
My boy Freeze? It looked like he froze me, man.
Y'all see me?
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. What's up, man?
One thing's acting up. What's up?
All right, good to see you, man.
Oh, all yeah. Right.
So we got a full show for you guys today. We got, of course, waiver wires after week one. Tons of stuff to talk about. Got news, injuries. We're going to go over some top standout players for the week. We're going to go over some bust players for the week, primarily quarterbacks and whatever other position we come up with off the top of our head. And then the real heart of the show, we're going to dive into the waiver wire list, some of the guys that we think you should probably go after. We're going to talk about, of course, the players, and then we're going to talk about the Faab budget. How much should we spend on those players? Are they worth your number one waiver slot or not? We'll find out. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive in to some of the news around the league and really some of the injuries is really what it is. So let's just get it out of the way. First, most critical injury with week one, Aaron Rodgers with a blown Achilles. Only got 4 snaps in. I think it was like 45 seconds of play or something like that. And it looks like his season's already over. So, Jose, I'm going to start with you, man. You got any takeaways on that Achilles injuries from Aaron Rodgers? What are you thinking?
Yeah, he's done. I'm going to talk about it. He's over with. He's out for the year. Sad to see. A lot of people, invested in him and wide receiving core for sure. So, I mean, they're going to take a hit as far as wide receivers with what's his name back there? I don't even know his name, to be honest with you. And that was a first-round pick. Slept with his mom's friend. That's all the last we heard of him.
My boy, Zach Wilson?
There we go. What's the Zach Wilson?
Man. How you forget about Zach Wilson, man?
He was an afterthought. But, yeah, I mean, it's his team now. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers went down 4 plays in, and it's a wrap.
Yeah, they just can't get away from him. They can't get away from Zach Wilson. How about you, Paul? How do you think this affects fantasy for the other players on the roster? Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook.
Well, just not that. I know fantasy owners invested in some drafts. Aaron Rodgers went a little earlier in some drafts than his normal average draft position. But I know there's some guys that just focused on Aaron Rodgers, and that's all they had on your team. Because I can get Aaron Rodgers in the 10th round, and now what happened? And I was like, now they're out of a quarterback because you invested in only Aaron Rodgers, thinking he was going to have an MVP year, And I understand that. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. I'm not shying away from that. I'm not saying he couldn't be the MVP. He had all the tools. He had a defense. He had everything there. But we've already seen what happened with Zach Wilson last season when he was in control of that offense. It wasn't good. I mean, everybody was hoping for Mike White. I think that's what his name was, the third string quarterback there, and he's not even there anymore. So all those guys are going to take some fantasy hits. Yeah, they got the win. Everybody was hyped up. It was week 1. But, man, you just got to feel for, like, the Garrett Wilsons. He's not going to have that season everybody's going to think that he would have had with Aaron Rodgers, that type of production you're going to get.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. I actually, so my opinion, let's say out of the top 3 fantasy guys on that team, right? So Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook. Actually, it affects all 3, but I think it affects the running backs the least. If anything, they're probably going to lean on that run game a lot with Zach Wilson. They're going to a lot of Breece Hall, a lot of Dalvin Cook. Even Michael Carter is mixing in. But Garrett Wilson's is the big loser out of the whole thing. So I heard, so I was doing some listening earlier today, and the splits between Garrett Wilson with Zach Wilson compared to literally any other quarterback, Joe Flacco, whoever the hell they had out there, massive difference in the splits. It was something like over the 7 or 8 games that Zach Wilson played for the Jets last year, Garrett Wilson only had like 400 yards or something crazy and a couple touchdowns. It's just a huge drop off. I would say, this is my own personal opinion, obviously it'd be a terrible time to try to sell Garrett Wilson right now. You're not going to get much, but if the Jets, if they do go out and get another quarterback, like somebody that's better than Zach Wilson, then it might help Garrett Wilson further down the line during the season.
What about all this talk, man? Everybody talk about Kaepernick's in the mix and stuff. What do you think, man? You think it's just all rumors, man? You think Kaepernick finally makes his show and finally comes back to the NFL, man? Is he better than Zach Wilson, though? You know what I mean? Like, you look at all these quarterback options. Like, is there anybody out there right now better than what you got? That Zach Wilson's been there for pretty much 3 years, 2 or 3 years, knows the system. Do you really want to bring somebody else out there and kind of like revamp it, restart it all over?
What? How long has Cap been out? Has it been 7 years?
It's been a long time. His name's always gonna be out there, and it's just, do you take a chance on it? Is this the team? Okay, are we the team that takes a chance on him?
He was cool when he played, in my opinion, but gosh, it's been so long. I bet the first sack he would take, the first couple sacks, he'd be out. Like, there's no replacement for live gameplay, and I don't know. I bet they look somewhere else, like this kind of hurts to say this, but like a Carson Wentz or something, or shoot, I'd even take Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was pretty decent. Like, he would sling the rock 50 times or something, but I don't know. It's a tough situation. All right. Jose, you have anything else to add to that? I think we froze again. All right.
Jeez.
Let's go ahead and move on. So next up, this is another one that really hurts my heart. J.K. Dobbins, he also has a blown Achilles. And man, you got to feel for this guy. All the injuries, what did he blow last year? The ACL, PCL, PCP, LDL, every letter in the alphabet, he blew it. And then he blew his Achilles. That sucks, man. I know he was one of the guys that was sitting out during training camp to try to get the better contract. Now you have this. I hope that he makes a comeback to football, just, down the line in general. Hopefully it's not the end of his career. But if you have J.K. Dobbins on your roster, you're scrambling right now to try to find a replacement. Paul, any takes on that?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I stood away from Dobbins because I'm always a guy that looks for consistency. I know it was a while for his last injury, and he looked promising at the end of last season when he was healthy. But yeah, that's the whole reason why I stay away from players like this, man. Like, yeah, he wasn't on any of my draft lists. I just, even though I knew I could get value for him in one draft, because everybody was passing on him, I still passed on him just because of the factor. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. This guy's got the injury bug, man, and he's got the worst one out of all the injury bugs. Because I don't know if you can come back from that. It's 2 in the last 3 years. Yeah, it's gonna be a tall mountain for him to climb back into. I don't know, man, if he can do it. I hope he can, because you never want to see any players go out and end their career like that. But man, it's just tough, because I know there's some people that take with the 0 running back strap kind of draft. You're looking at JK sometimes as your number 1 running back on some of those teams, and now you got to look to the waivers and either spend that money, or you better hope that you have a high waiver pick to be able to replace that. But it's unfortunate, man. I mean, it's just the way NFL goes.
Yeah, exactly. Jose, who would you target in that backfield? I know we're going to talk about it here in a minute too, but off the top of your head, who would you go get?
As far as the Ravens, or just in general?
Just on the Ravens.
I mean, it's hard enough to pick between the running back crew they had. Now that Dobbins is gone, I mean, I think Justice Hill had 2 touchdowns or something like that. All from like the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, even if they do running by by committee, I mean, if you spend a lot of money on one of them, kind of wasting your money if Lamar's going to run it in, or because Edwards is going to run it in. It's playing hot potato all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, I hear you. The right answer is probably Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson for sure. Because they just brought, they had Mel G on their practice squad who just got activated now. So now you add a 3rd guy into that mix, and I think it's just gonna be the hot hand type of deal over there, man. Whoever's got the hot hand is gonna get all those plays or the runs, and like you just said, Ryan, Lamar Jackson. So that's a tough one.
But this team went through this exact ordeal last year.
Yeah, every year. Yeah,
they had Melvin Gordon. They had another guy who's on the Dolphins at one point.
They had the 2016 Pro Bowl, man. Le'Veon Bell, Devonta Freeman.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake. They had all these guys.
Kenyon Drake. Yeah, they had. He seemed like everyone was rushing for a different one every week.
Hey, Devonta Freeman was on there too, wasn't he? Or
he was. Yeah,
had everybody.
Devonta Freeman.
Yes, I mean, if you guys want to, or anybody out there want to, go and spend. I mean, you want to just throw a waiver out there just to grab them, cool. I mean, if it's Faab money, I'm not wasting a whole lot. I'll throw a couple bucks out there, but I mean, I'm not gonna go and spend. I'm not gonna spend more than 10.
Yeah, that makes sense.
By all means, let somebody else blow all their money on a guy that no one knows is gonna play.
Yeah.
All right, we'll kind of roll through the next guys on this list. So we have Greg Dulcich, leg injury. That's kind of a bummer. I thought he might end up being something in that Sean Payton offense. Already injured week 1. Not too much to dive in there, guys. But the next one here, Aaron Jones with a hamstring injury. He was having himself a pretty good day, and then ended up getting the hamstring injury. I think it was late in the game. I haven't heard too much about that injury, how serious it is. I haven't read anything on X if it's if he's going to be out for week 2 or anything. Hopefully it's a mild strain and maybe he's able to play through it or bounce back after 1 week out or something. So of course, if you got AJ Dillon on your roster, that's probably a good thing. Let's see, rolling through the list, we'll kind of roll through these. Jacoby Myers concussion, that was a scary one because he had the whole frozen hands type deal, took a pretty nasty shot, and it's a bummer too because that guy was tearing it up. Jacoby was a guy that I hadn't drafted all off season on any mock drafts, and he comes out and he's like the legit number 2 guy. So Paul, I'm gonna pass it to you. What's up with Jacoby Myers? What do you think about it?
Yeah, man. Well, he's in the concussion protocol, so he's got a series of tests to pass. But the way it looked with him and Jimmy had the connection going, man, and for Jimmy not being there because of the injury, all training camp and stuff, but it looks like, he looked good, man. I mean, he was that guy going across the middle, Adams taking all the double team and opening it up there. So, I mean, if he can stay healthy and get through this, and I know it was a shot, but a hard shot that took him out of the game. But I mean, the sky's the limit, man. It looks like this guy's going to get I think he had 8 receptions on 10 targets.
Yeah.
81 yards, 2 touchdowns. So Jimmy's looking his way. It looked good because Hunter Renfrow was out there too, and he didn't get no targets. So it looks like he's looking at It's just Adams and Jacoby. So fantasy upside's looking good for him. We won't know until after he comes back from concussion protocol and to try to keep that trend up. But it's a nice waiver pickup. I know I have him in a couple of leagues. So I just got to keep an eye on that. But yeah, it looks good, man. If he can get through that concussion protocol.
Yep, yeah, I definitely agree. He dominated targets as a second guy and was clearly the next best behind Adams. Some other injuries here. We got Pat Freiermuth with a chest injury. He took a pretty good shot to the chest on a end zone reception. Actually didn't get the catch, but a couple plays later, he did get the touchdown catch. I don't know. It's questionable. But you know what? For as long as I've had Pat Freiermuth on a roster, that guy's always had a Q next to his name, so maybe he plays. Last few guys on the list, we got Deontay Johnson with a hamstring issue. That one sounds pretty serious. Might end up being like a 3-4 week deal. Jose, what do you think about that, man? And
yeah, I read that earlier this morning. Seemed to leave the game. I mean, I thought he just took himself out, faking on injury because he was getting locked down pretty much the whole game. But they say it's a hamstring. They said a couple weeks, so we'll find out later this week if he goes on IR or not. If it's that serious, if it's not that serious, obviously he doesn't go on IR. He'll be back in maybe 2 weeks. IR goes at least 4. So, I mean, Kenny Pickett just lost, one of his main targets. So it might just be the Pickett and Pickens show for sure. See how these two can do.
Yeah, with you there. It's a bummer because Deontay.
Yeah, but worse game than he had last week.
Oh, he's cutting in and out.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's saying something really good. I mean, I basically agree with him. Deontay Johnson was looking really good prior to the injury, but you're right, Jose. It's going to be Pickens, and if it's not Pickens, it might actually be Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson's going to be 100% snap guy.
Man, that's my sleeper, man. He can't be.
Yeah, I seen him get a lot of targets in that game. After Deontay Johnson went out.
Allen Robinson, the
30 he was an afterthought. He was an afterthought. Now, after his little stint with the Rams, he was in that offense and disappeared off the face of the earth.
And the Bears, was it the second year with the Bears? I think the first year it was okay. It wasn't too bad, but the second year, man, that guy was horrible. You put in your starting lineup for 1 point.
I wouldn't say he was horrible. Yeah, he was
horrible. He was horrible.
He was a disaster.
It was horrible. I was like, you're talking about this guy was like, I think I drafted him in like the 4th round or 5th round, and the guy's giving me 2 points.
Actually, I think it was 2nd round, man.
Don't say that, man. Like, I remember, man. That guy was just. I was like, I'll never draft this guy again, ever.
Yeah, what was funny is the next season, everybody was on him. The first year at the Rams are like, oh, yeah, he's the new Robert Woods. Mm-hmm. Draft him, went in the 4th round, I think, and he was just a complete bust.
Oh, yeah. I drafted him a couple times, and, he didn't do shit.
Oh, man.
Big old buzz.
Garbage, man.
But now he's free. Now he's free.
But they have there's another guy there who's a rookie last year. I think I want to say Calvin Austin or something like that on the top of my head.
That's all right.
Yeah, he's another rookie from last year. So they had a good wide receiver core for sure. A little plug and play on that offense. Obviously, Deontay Johnson's a big name. He didn't have a touchdown last year at all, but he was targeted over 100 times.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, good point. All right, last couple injuries to talk about. Tyler Lockett with a concussion. He does not have the questionable tag on him, at least on fantasy, but we'll have to monitor that one, see if he practices, see if he suits up for this Sunday. If he doesn't, wheels up for JSN, in my opinion. And then last one here, Evan Hull, rookie running back for the Colts with a knee injury. Sounds like he might be out for like the season or for like a prolonged period of time, which is a bummer because there was, a chance that maybe as a rookie running back, he'd be able to break into the role and be a starting running back, but it's probably not going to happen. All right, so that's it for injuries. Let's see. Some local news for TIYF and Fantasy Family Leagues. Let's talk. This is new segment. So Billy goes 1 for 2. Yeah, local news.
I like it.
I like this segment. All right. Local news. Billy goes 1 for 2 in his leagues. I'm second. I also went 1 for 2. Charlie paid his debt in TIYF. So there was a
Shout out
bet
to
going
Charlie
between Billy
paying
and
up
Charlie.
though. Yeah. Shout out to Charlie. Man of his word.
Yeah, man of his word, paid his debts. Shout out to you, man. Other note here: Burrow and Chase failed Billy in fantasy family. JK broke my heart for the last time. So, this is great. I missed this on the notes, or also would have added my own notes. I'll add my own notes. I ran into the Dallas defense in the TIYF league. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have won, maybe. But yeah, Dallas defense lit me up for 30-something points. Paul, how do you do, man?
Oh man, I went like I think 4 for 7 in fantasy leagues this week. The TIYF, I took the L. Just like man, it just wasn't rolling, man. There was a couple of guys on there that kind of just very unperformed in that league. I just wasn't hitting it. But my fantasy, the fantasy family, yeah, I just took the win, man. It wasn't too tough. I mean, shout out to the guy I played. I mean, he played a good game, but the better team won, and I was able to get that win without my number 1 draft pick. It says a lot when you can still put up 100 points and your number 1 player ain't there. But GG to the guy I played. I won't say his name, but he fought hard, and I look forward, man. 4 out of 7. Now I kind of know where these players are going. Kind of make a little couple waiver picks, and we'll right the ship for all 7 leagues.
There you go. Jose, how about you, man? How do you do this week?
Horrible. I went 2 out of 5. I lost to Ryan on one of them by 20 points. The team I had lost Lockwood injury. Allen wanted to throw 5 interceptions yet last night. Having quarterback problems again.
How you have quarterback problems with Josh Allen, man?
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
How do you? Hey, you got the top 3 quarterback in the league. You got quarterback problems.
I lost another league. I lost another league by 2 points after Dak and I have Dak and Lambs.
Oh man, and the defense took all the points.
Yeah.
Ouch.
It looks like he got chopped up right there. But
the Cowboys won.
Jose, you there? Looks like we're losing him. Man, we gotta get that guy a signal booster for our internet booster for the outside, man. But back with what Billy's saying, because I think that was one of the big reasons why I did lose in TIYF, man. It was Joe Burrow, man. I have all my leagues, man. I got Burrow, Hurts, and Pat Mahomes. And all my leagues, those are the 3 quarterbacks that I have. And and Pat Mahomes, did his thing, gave me that 20 points. But I mean, Jalen Hurts, he had a mediocre 12 points, which is kind of it's kind of rare, the guy averaged 25 a game last year. So it's just unfortunate. I mean, yeah, it's week 1. I'm not really worried about it. These guys are high caliber quarterbacks, and I know Burrow just got paid. Maybe he just got to sink in a little bit, but it'll come around, man. It's just week 1.
Yeah, one quick note, or just stat, or maybe a trend. Maybe it's a trend. We'll see. Week 1 of this year was the lowest scoring week since 2000. It was either 2015 or 2017. There was only 57 touchdowns scored this week. Last year we were in the 70s. I believe it was 76 touchdowns week 1. So talking about 20 touchdowns less. Big change for the defense. So yeah, it's interesting for sure. I think, but 20 touchdowns is definitely why we're seeing, at least for week 1, just scoring across the board is down for everybody. So when Mac Jones is your QB2 in TIYF for week 1, it's a bad week.
Yikes.
Yeah. Guy put up 30 points in that league. Crazy. All right. So let's get to some fantasy show out lists. So these are going to be guys that have scored over 20 points. We got a list of 18 players. A lot of them. Hopefully you had some of these guys on your team. So let's just go down the list, talk about them. Number 1, Tyreek Hill, 39 points on the week. Just a big time performance. Had over 200 yards, had a touchdown or 2, maybe. I can't remember. Just I think for the title the title of 2,000 yards in a season, it's probably going to come down to Tyreek Hill or maybe Justin Jefferson. But yeah, crazy good week. Next up, number 2, Dallas Cowboys, 37 points according to Fantasy Pros. I can second that. They did score 30-something points and eliminated me out of week 1. Just a crazy good performance for defense. They're probably going to finish as the number 1 defense on the season just because of that week.
Yeah.
Next on the list, number 3, Brandon Ayuk, 28.9 points. I believe this is a half-point PPR. Guy had a monster week. Jose, I'm going to pass to you real quick. What did you see out of Brandon Ayuk for week 1?
Since he's frozen, I'll talk about Brandon Ayuk because I told everybody that he was going to be the better receiver than in San Francisco. I don't like Debo. I told everybody Ayuk was going to have the better season, man. You can get Ayuk later in the rounds, man. Don't waste a 3rd round pick on Debo. We can get Ayuk for better value, and he's going to be the better receiver at the end of the season, man. He looked good. The guy, I was playing against him in fantasy, so I was watching it step for step. And I was already in a 28 point hole once after the early games, but I was able to recover from that. And but yeah, Ayuk looks good, man. He's gonna be the better receiver in my eyes the rest of the season.
I will second that. He looked good. He's given many opportunities, which maybe Jimmy G can never capitalize on. I think Purdy's not afraid to throw the ball. He ain't gonna lose the job. Nobody behind him. So, he was hitting Ayuk. I think he had 10 or 11 targets, 6 or 7 or 8 catches, something like that, 2 touchdowns. He balled out for sure. I think on the pod on Friday night, we're talking about the Niners real quick. And we said, Ayuk is like a pecking order in that offense. Obviously McCaffrey can go, Debo, Ayuk, second or third, and Kittle's in the mix in that one too. So, he's like not even the main guy or focal point of the offense. And
Man. I think we lost him again. Darn. Saying some good stuff. He's right. So I'll give you guys my take on it. We've known for a while Ayuk is an elite talent at a wide receiver position. I think if he was on any other team, he would be the clear-cut wide receiver 1, at pretty much anywhere else. On the Niners, so one thing I read up on week 1 against the Steelers is they were going to go up against a lot of man defense, man coverage against Pittsburgh, and it's kind of what it looked like. And Ayuk is elite against man coverage and basically just sliced and diced these guys all day long. So it was shaping up to be a good week for Ayuk. I do wonder, as we kind of move on into the other weeks, if you start to see a little bit more Debo, depending on the kind of defense you're playing. I guess basically what I'm trying to say is I think you're going to have weeks where it's Ayuk, weeks where it's Debo, weeks where it's like a big CMC game. CMC had a big game regardless. Doesn't matter, but you might have like a Kittle game. So either way, Ayuk is an elite talent, awesome player. He's probably going to finish as a wide receiver 1 this year. But yeah, it's good stuff. So next player on the list, Tua Tagovailoa with 28 points, 28.1 points. He had a monster week too. So I know, Paul, you were kind of talking about him in the chat, right? Like, just him, he's elite. We think he has a chance to be elite, but it really comes down to the health, right?
Yeah, man. I'll say it now. I'll say it tomorrow. I'll say it next week. I'll say it on my birthday. I'll say it on your birthday. We all know what Tua's problem is, man. He has to stay healthy, man. He's never been that quarterback that can stay on the field since he's been in the league. It's unfortunate because if this guy can play every single game, this guy is a top 5 talent at quarterback in my eyes, man. Just because of it's just proof right there last week. This guy, he damn near almost broke Dan Marino's record. That's right. I said Dan Marino. All right. The guy, in 1987, the year I was born, you know what I mean? Jeez, he almost broke that record. If he's getting close to it, it's just crazy, man. The guy has all the talent in the world. He's got probably the best set of receivers in the league. If they could, get that running game together and figure out that play action pass, because I think that's where it's kind of lacking a little bit. Hey, nobody's afraid of that running game, man. I mean, most of these okay, but they're not really fearing that run game in my eyes when I was watching a little bit of it. But if they can get that running game going, open up that play action, yikes. It's just going to be that much more scarier with Tyreek running down there off of play action, wide open. And he's already wide open, but it could get even worse. But yeah, man, the guy needs to stay healthy in my eyes, Ryan.
Yeah, and they did lose one of their tackles too. Went out with the injury, so have to keep an eye on it. But man, I got a stat for you on Tua before we go to the next player. All so right. Week 1, King Tua is back with
whoa, King Tua.
Yeah, King Tua. So it's a Twitter. I see it on Twitter thing. So he had 15 passes over the 15-yard mark. So 15 of his attempts were for over 15 yards. The next highest was 10 attempts of over 15 yards from Patrick Mahomes. So it's all that means is just an indicator of a lot of deep shots. And when you have receivers like Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, there's a good chance you're going to connect. So in my opinion, in Fantasy Family League, where it's 4-point passing touchdown, I think 2 is okay. So it's like an every week starter. He's like maybe a Joe Burrow level. But in the TIYF League, I think he's dynamite. Like he'll probably finish like as a top 5 quarterback if he stays healthy. So yeah, that's my opinion.
I think he could be a top 5 in just 4-point touchdown leagues, man. I really do. Yeah, I think it's just his health. We all talk about. I mean, think about it. He's one bad fall away from going on the IR, man. That's the scary part about it. When you draft Tua, your next move is like, oh, I got it. Either he's your backup and it's okay because you already have a starter, or if you draft Tua first, I got to find something. I got to find something to make sure I have a solid backup for him because, dude, it's too many times. I know even last season somebody drafted Tua and then they hosed themselves for not having a backup. You got to have that backup just until he can start building those reps in seasons and build a consistency where he can stay healthy. But right now he's still on the edge.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
All right, next guy on the list, Aaron Jones, running back for the Packers, 25.7 points. Like we talked about, monster week from him. This guy's always underrated. Like we always draft him hella late, and then he comes out and he's just he's a solid RB1 every time.
Yeah, shout out to Jose for trading him in my my FedEx league, man. I sent him Debo for it. So shout out to Jose for that one.
There you go. It's not a bad trade. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, next on the list, like I talked about, Mac Jones, 25.1 points. Sounds like it's standard QB scoring. It's just crazy. I don't even know how. I had to go back and look at his stat line. Did he have 3 touchdowns or 2?
I'll take a look at if you want to keep going on. He had 300 yards passing.
Okay.
Yeah, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick.
Yeah, pretty good week. See if he does it again.
Jones.
I'm not a believer yet.
Spoiler alert, man. Is he worth the waiver pick?
Is he on the list?
I don't know, man.
No, he's not. No, he ain't worth it. Screw that guy.
All right, just making sure, yeah.
I think he's a 1-week wonder.
That's what I think, too.
All right. Next on the list, Jacoby Myers had 24.6 points. He had a monster game, too. Did he have 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, he had 81 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 receptions. Yeah, man, I hope he can come back. If he's going to be playing like that, man, he's going to be a big part of the offense. Yeah.
Honestly, he fits Jimmy G's game really well. A lot of that intermediate stuff, good route runner.
Big receiver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got some size, too.
And it's nice to have Adams on the other side, man, like I said earlier, drawing that double team and giving them all that one-on-one look.
Jacoby, as the number 1 wide receiver with the Patriots, was pretty good. Like, he was actually pretty good from a statistical standpoint, but now having him as a wide receiver too, I mean, that's pretty good. Like, there's some talent there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good stuff by the Raiders, man. That's a pick that I slept on him. I didn't really think it'd be much of anything, but yeah, it looks like I was wrong.
Yeah, man. I was actually surprised to get him in late in the drafts too. I got him in I think 4 out of my 7 leagues. And I didn't start him in any of the leagues because I didn't know. It's week 1, but I mean he's on my bench, riding my bench on all of them, so we can get back healthy, man. I like awesome flex right there for me if I can get that guy healthy past the concussion protocol, man. That'd be a solid pick.
Yeah, agreed. I got to put this comment up from Billy talking about Tua. He learned how to fall. Tua managers are good. Don't forget, guys, Tua took judo in the offseason.
Oh, my goodness. He took judo. Okay, cool,
Just had to
man.
throw it out there.
I was like, oh, so he's been practicing when he gets hit from the blind side, you know what I mean? To fall the right way. Come on, man.
Yeah, remember, he's going to tuck the chin and fall. So he'll be all right.
Right when he hears somebody, he's just going to lock up and just go down like this and be like, all right, I'm good. Get the bubble wrap.
They should get that. They should get the, what is the big like horse collar things? They should put that.
The one linebackers use?
Yeah, like the linebackers wear.
What was that? Zach Thomas? Didn't he? Zach?
Yeah. Hey, he should go like
the neck
80s,
roll.
Man.
Oh,
he
man.
should, yeah, the neck roll. That's what it was. He should go back
neck...
with the neck roll and then get the big old 80s style pads that are oversized.
Oh my god!
Go old school, man. He needs all the padding he
for
can
a
get.
Quarterback.
Hey, that's what I would do in Madden, man. I'd create the quarterback and put all the ridiculous pads and shit.
Oh man, that'd be funny.
I'd usually name him like Russell Thrillson. All right.
Good time.
Next on the list, Austin Eckler, 24.4 points. Just another monster week. That was a shootout game, man. And surprisingly, for being a shootout, I thought the Chargers were really balanced. Like they had a good passing attack and a good running attack.
Yeah.
So good stuff there. Hopefully the ankle injury doesn't hold them back. All right. Next on the list, tied for 8th, Christian McCaffrey, 24.4 points. Just, man, that was like vintage Carolina Panthers McCaffrey. The usage, 140 plus yards, touchdown, just monster game.
Just normal CMC there, man.
Yeah. Guy doesn't age, man. He's still going. Next on the list, Jordan Love, 23 points. He had a solid outing. Definitely a waiver wire guy. I think we're going to be talking about here in a minute, so I'll pass over him. Number 11, Tyler Algier with 22.9 points. That's one that really pissed me off the more I watched it. But shout out to Tyler Algier. He's a good running back. And Arthur Smith and the Falcons, they run the shit out of the ball.
They're going to run it like crazy, man.
They're going to probably try to run it like 600 times this year. So
if it works, they got the win.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Well, the other thing too that I maybe didn't talk about a whole lot is they have a Charmin soft schedule. Charmin soft.
Damn.
Get the Panthers again. They like from a run defense perspective, I think it's like a top 2 easy schedule in the entire NFL. It's gonna be nice for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff. Tyler Algier there. Next up, the rookie Anthony Richardson from Indianapolis, 21.9 points. He had a pretty good week. I knew he was going to turn the ball over. That's why I started the Jags defense against him. But he still, even with 2 turnovers, still had a really good outing. Threw for a couple hundred yards, threw a touchdown, rushed a touchdown. I believe he had 10 rushing attempts for 40 yards. That's a guy. I don't know if he's on the waiver wire line. It doesn't look like it. But if he's somehow on a waiver wire for you guys, go pick him up.
Only knock I have on that guy, man, is he took a nasty shot at the end of the game, man. But and I said that. I mean, everybody talks about how big this guy is, and he could take some shots. Man, I don't care how big you are, man. The NFL is a different breed of football players. This ain't college football. I mean, you're taking shots from some big leaguers right here, man. The guy's built with muscle on muscle. You take one wrong shot, you're gonna get knocked out of the game, or ankle rolled up on. You just never know. He just needs. And I think Trevor Lawrence told him that after the game. I saw a little tweet. Hey man, I love your game, but you need to learn how to slide.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just like that, man. I mean, it'll save his career. I know he wants to run. I know he's young. I know he's still fresh, but man, you got to slide, man. I don't care how big you are.
We need to tweet that to Josh Allen too, man. Like,
oh yeah, did you see him jump in the air and just do this whole thing, like
break his neck, man?
Yeah, it's all it takes is one bad landing, man.
Yeah. But Anthony Rich, he had a good show out. It's kind of what I thought it was going to be. Some turnovers, a lot of rushing. But the thing to remember here, if anybody outside of our 2 leagues, if anybody here is looking at Anthony Richardson potentially on the waiver wire or wherever you're thinking of trading for him, I think the big thing that I took away from the Colts, at least for this last week, is their coach is Shane Steichen, who was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles last year. And I saw a little bit of that Eagles style where they would try to do a QB sneak on 4th and short. They on a lot of a lot of shorter passing, but then they would try to get some deep bombs going down further down the field. I think they're going to probably try to get Anthony Richardson to be kind of like a Jalen Hurts light, maybe, or maybe surpass him at some point. But I see some of the similarities, and that's pretty exciting. All right, next on the list, Deshaun Watson, 21.7 points. The funny thing about Deshaun Watson, man, when I go on the Twitter, I always read about how he plays like shit, but then like I look at the points, I'm like, well, he actually had like a pretty decent week. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, man. I mean, 21 points in fantasy. I think maybe they're talking about how he looked. I mean, he went 16 for 29, so it wasn't really an efficient day throwing the football. 154 yards, 1 touchdown, and then it looks like he added 5 rushes with another touchdown. So the rushing yards is what kind of kept him in like fantasy, in the fantasy point game. But yeah, I mean, fantasy wise, he's a running quarterback. He's gonna get you points that way. So as a fantasy output and outlook, yeah, it was solid. But when you look at it outside of fantasy, you only made 16 of 30 passes, almost 50%. So that's what it is. But fantasy owners, we don't give a shit. We just want the points.
Exactly.
I don't care if you had 5 passes out of 30 attempts, but he had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
yeah, and I'm with you there. Yeah, I actually spent quite a bit of time watching that game too on the local TV. He was, a little shaky, a little bit of indecision. But I thought it was interesting just kind of how they use their weapons. Like Chubb looked really good. I was mainly watching it for Elijah Moore, who, didn't have the biggest stat line, but I thought he had a pretty decent week 1.
It's week 1, man.
Yeah, 7 targets, 7% of the rushing share, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, I think the Browns are definitely going to be worth watching.
Yeah,
they got some pieces. All right, next on the list, number 14, Kendrick Bourne, 21.4 points. This guy exploded. I believe he's on the waiver wire list. He is on the waiver wire list, so we'll probably talk about him here some more in a little bit. But yeah, monster day. That's a guy that kind of flashes in the pan. Like we see him pop up from time to time. I remember seeing his name last year and the year before. Some potential there. Next on the list, Tony Pollard, running back, 21.2 points. He was like pretty much the only guy on offense scoring for Dallas. The rest was taken care of by the defense. Yep, looking good. And then next we have Justin Herbert with 20.9 points. Overall, I think he's going to be just really solid this year. Looked the part, probably going to do a lot of – well, I take that back. They were more balanced than I thought they were going to be. But either way, I still think Herbert's going to be good. And then the last couple names here, we got Patrick Mahomes at 20.5 points, which is a bummer because he had like most of those points by halftime and then got completely shut down. I don't blame it so much on him, but his receivers were trash.
The Lions defense stepped up, man.
I mean, yeah, no, they were all right. Yeah. I mean, you're putting the pressure on, but you got Tony dropping everything. It's like
that's true too.
And then last guy on the list, we got Calvin Ridley, 20.1 points. This is kind of what I expected, to be honest. Like I had a feeling that he was going to end up being really good. One piece of information that I had read up on about Calvin Ridley coming into the season about his target percentage and route yardage percentage, and basically his advanced metrics coming in to the Jags, and with the Jaguars projected to be one of the higher passing offenses in the league. I thought there was a pretty good chance that Ridley would end up being like a true like alpha wide receiver 1. We'll have to see how it looks in these future weeks, but at least for week 1, it looks pretty good. 11 targets, 8 catches, over 100 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, I'm pretty bullish on him. I think he's going to be good.
Yeah.
All right, so that is it for our standout list. There were some other players that we probably did all right, but let's talk about some busts. We got a bunch of quarterbacks.
Yeah, we got it. It's some big names too, man. It's kind of like it's disappointing.
All the tier 1 guys. So like, I'm just going to read the list, and then I'm sure there's some other positions that we'll talk about. So let's just go from quarterbacks from 30 down. Josh Dobbs, nobody has him, but 29 on the list. Joe Burrow, that's pretty sad. Ryan Tannehill, Dak Prescott. Although I kind of feel like it wasn't totally Dak's fault. It's just their defense did most of the scoring. Daniel Jones, straight trash. Number 25, this one hurts, Lamar Jackson. But after the game, I sort of thought about it. And really, if you look back to even last season, almost every quarterback that played the Houston Texans had a bad game for fantasy purposes. Even week 17, Trevor Lawrence, man. Like, I think week 17, Trevor Lawrence scored like 3 or 4 points against the Texans. So it's their defense. What was it? It's a run funnel defense fight.
Yeah. Oh, just run the ball 40, 50 times and you'll be all right.
Yeah, run funnel defense. So to be expected. Next matchup I look for with Houston, I'll probably sit my quarterback. And then we go further down the list. We got Desmond Ridder, trash. Geno Smith at 23. A little bit surprising. I thought he would have came out and did a little better. 16 for 26 on pass attempts. That was a weird game. Rams came out a lot better than expected.
Yeah, they surprised me for sure.
Yeah, same here. And then next, Bryce Young, rookie quarterback, 20 for 38. Only had 9.5 fantasy points. That game. So anytime you get Carolina versus Atlanta Falcons, it's going to be a run fest, and that's pretty much what it ended up being. So, and maybe not so much for the Panthers. I mean, he did have 38 pass attempts, but they weren't efficient. None of their receivers have any juice, so it's hard to get any yard separations or things like that. So. All right.
That's good, man. I wanted to go right through that real quick anyways, because, we got a whole bunch of waivers. We're probably going to slow us down a little bit. So we got a whole second half for, what do we call this segment? Blow your load?
Yeah. This is the blow your load waiver picks.
Yes.
Get ready.
I've been waiting for this, right? I mean, I was ready to get through all that other stuff. We're ready to go, man. I think Charlie's still in there, got some questions on a couple people, but yeah, man, let's just jump right into this.
All right, unzip and unload. Here we go.
Whoa.
So, all right, let's start off with some running backs, guys. So we talked about some of the injuries. And first off, we're going to start with the Ravens running backs. So we got Gus Edwards, who is rostered in 21.4% in 21.4% of teams in ESPN leagues. And then we got Justice Hill, who is 0.3% rostered. If we go back and look at that game, it looked like it was a pretty even split. I think Justice Hill came out of that game with a couple touchdowns. So who are we going with? Paul, who are you going with?
Man, I don't even want to spend no money on this backfield. We kind of touched on this a little earlier, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like we said, Lamar Jackson's the only running back we're taking out of him, and he's the quarterback. Yeah, you're not going to know. It's going to be the hot hand who really, like during the game, whoever has the hot hand. If you look at it, like Gus Edwards had 8 carries. Justice Hill had, I think, 8 carries. And then now they're going to bring in Mel G, activate him off the practice squad. So it's a crapshoot, man. I'm telling you right now, after the waivers go through, if one of them's available, I probably wouldn't waste any money on these guys. But if they follow through and they get through the waivers and I have a spot, I could take a shot. You know what I mean? But I'm not putting any money into this backfield at all.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Let's put it this way. So I know Billy's in the chat, and he is in a dire need of running back help in fantasy families. He's
tell him to take all 3, so that way he knows.
I mean, I kind of feel like Gus Edwards would probably be the safe play to get you like 6 points a week.
But just not that. The Gus Edwards got hurt last year too, though, man. He has a little bit of an injury bug too, man.
It's tough. Yeah, me personally, I wouldn't look to spend that much money on these guys. If you're really desperate, maybe 5% of your fab, 10% of your fab, at absolute max. But I would say if you're looking at an athletic standpoint, Justice Hill does have some pretty elite metrics. I think he was a 4-4 guy at the running back position. He's been with the Ravens for a long time, so which also is kind of like a negative thing because the guy never actually took over the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
He does. I think he will get a little bit more of the passing work. So now that I think about it, I think I sold myself. I probably would lean Justice Hill on this. I don't think I would put too much money on it. It would only be like a desperation play if I really need a running back, personally.
Just put 5 on it, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not blowing any loads for this backfield.
Yeah, I'm staying away from it.
All right, next on the list, Josh Kelly, rostered in 11.4% of leagues, had 92 yards last week with a touchdown, 15 fantasy points. Pretty good week. Josh Kelly, man, this is a legit question. What do you think?
You know what stands out to me is the 16 carries, and it wasn't in a game where they were blowing it out. The game was close. You know what I mean? So they utilized him a lot, and then that's taking nothing away from from Eckler here. Eckler still balled out. So if they're able to get the usage out of him and run with these two running backs like this, because Joshua Kelly's been there for a while, and we've always talked about, Eckler's going to start going down that downhill fall, woo. And he hasn't. All right. So he's still there. He's still doing his thing. But is this the year that Joshua Kelly finally becomes that guy that's going to complement him in the backfield? And you're going to get that 1-2 punch no matter what. They're going to just split those carries guaranteed, even if one's the hot hand or not. And that could possibly be what's going on too, because if Eckler's hot, of course you're not going to stop feeding him the ball. But it sounds like Kelly's going to be a big part of this offense this year, man, if he's getting 16 carries in a tight game like this, and he can produce like that. So I think he's definitely worth some money here. It's just I'm still debating on like how much is it really worth, because it is only week 1, and I don't want to blow my load on something that's a 1-week wonder, because I've been there before with this guy. I think last year or the year before, where I'm thinking, oh, he had this great year. And then all of a sudden, or this great 2-game span, and then he just goes right back to okay, he's only getting the ball 3-4 carries a game, and I wasted all that money for nothing. So,
yeah, that's what I'm afraid of too. You drop, 20% of your Faab, which is a lot of money.
It is
That's $30. I mean, and we don't know what it's going to look like next week. But I want to touch on something that you kind of touched on here like a minute ago. And I'm just looking at the waiver wire, like running backs that we have listed. Dude, most of these guys were projected backups.
Yeah.
And I think it's just kind of like an overall trend that I was kind of talking about a while ago. And if you remember, you might not remember this, but like months ago, I was talking about these trends of all these teams picking up second tight ends and running 2 tight end set, 12 personnel. And the reasoning behind it being that when you run multiple tight ends out there, a lot of the defenses nowadays play a lot of cover 2 shell to take away that over the top pass, right? So you run 2 tight ends, and usually one of those guys is like a passing tight end, like the Bills, or you have multiple tight ends. Long story short, when you have 2 tight ends, you can run the ball more effectively. And to me, it almost seems like a lot of these teams on their offensive side are shifting more to that power run game. And they're using 2 backs. Just think about it. We had Austin Eckler and Josh Kelly both have good fantasy days. Bijan and Tyler Algier both had monster days. Kyron Williams had a monster day. Cam Akers sucked, but he still had 20 carries.
Yeah, 20 carries. That's a lot.
That's a split. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, that was almost 50-50. Like a lot of backfields. And I would even say like Miami, if they had Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, that would have been a split too.
Yeah. It also goes to like looking at the when the running backs are getting paid. If you're getting splits like this, and we had all the debate of all these top tier running backs trying to get $15 million and stuff, and now these running backs, it's by committee, man. And then there's how many legit running backs out there are just taking the whole backfield by themselves? You got Bijan splitting. Like, come on, you drafted him in your first round pick and he's splitting. Like, it's just crazy, man. And And I kind of thought that going down there because I saw a trend of it last season with the 2 running backs, and it's kind of hard. Who do I start? Who do I start here? So I had that mindset going into the draft this year. I went heavy receiver just because of this reason, because you could maybe find a running back this year on the free agency if you really need one, because of how bad the split is. So that was one thing going into this season. I know it's week 1. I don't want to push too much on it, but as the season goes, I know I'll be talking about this going forward.
It's a good point. I bet the more I think about it, I bet it's more of a trend that we see early season, and then when we get to the back half of the season, when it's really time for your stars to step up, that's when you're going to want to have the guy like Austin Eckler or a Bijan, your big time playmakers. So it's a trend for sure. It's something I'm going to be following, as the season goes. A lot more split backfields. We've been talking about it forever, but this year it feels more real. I don't know why. It just does. And actually I do know why, because we look at guys like Tyler Algier and Josh Kelly had monster weeks, and they're backups technically. Yeah. So
yeah, those guys were going in 10th, 11th round.
Yeah, almost free.
And you're getting RB1 points and 20 and 17 points.
Yeah, exactly. And so talking about backups, let's talk about Tyler Algier. Monster week, over 22 points. Guy had 2 touchdowns, a lot of rushing attempts. If he's somehow on your waiver wire, definitely would advise going to pick him up.
I'm blowing half my load on him. Whoa, wait. I'm blowing half my Faab money. It looks like in ESPN he's only owned in 40% of the leagues. So I mean he's gonna get some work, man. We know that. It's the Falcons. You talked about it. You just talked about how soft that run schedule is for this season. So it wouldn't be a surprise. And then you just never know. Got that handcuff just in case one of these running backs get hurt. I'm not saying if Bijan gets hurt or he has to miss a game or two, and then Algier has to take over. I mean, he's already putting up points, and now you got him as a full-on starter if something happens.
Yeah, I have Tyler Algier in the TIYF league. Have him with Bijan. I'll probably end up starting both of them this week.
Yeah, man, wouldn't be surprised, man.
Yeah. All right. Oh, you know who the other backfield I forgot to mention? The Lions, man.
Yeah.
Demont and Gibbs. Same thing. They're going to end up splitting most of the year. So, yeah, a lot. I think this is just how it's going to be. And I think a little bit more future talk before we move on. I think the way it'll end up as far as like fantasy drafts is we'll draft whoever is the supposed like more talented guy higher, but knowing that there's probably like a solid vet or some other solid running back behind them that's going to get a share of the workload.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just how it goes. Next guy on the list, Kenny Gainwell. Man, this guy the Eagles were, man, let me hold on a sec. So first off, let me screw the Eagles, man. Did you see their what's it called? Their lineup report, like 2 days before Sunday, they put out their roster report. So showing all their starting wide receivers, starting quarterback, starting running backs. Did you see that, Paul?
I like the depth chart.
Yeah, the depth chart. That's what it was.
Okay.
So
I didn't see it.
If you didn't see it, they purposely went out of their way to list all 4 freaking running backs as starters. I'm not shitting you. All 4 of them were listed as starting running backs for the Eagles. Gainwell, Penny, Swift, Boston Scott. So just ultimate ambiguity going into the week 1. And then what ends up happening is Kenny Gainwell gets over 60% of the snaps, looks like the clear leader in the backfield, at least for week 1. So let's talk about it. Faab. I talked to Billy earlier today. He's not really sold on Kenny Gainwell. He's got a rib injury. We're worried about the rest of the guys in that backfield, DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny. Paul, what do you think, man? Is he worth the money? And if he is, how much money do you think he's worth?
I think he's worth the money, man. The guy, I think I like him over any of the running backs back there. Penny was a healthy scratch. I mean, does it shock me? No. I mean, Swift, I mean, look, he only got 3. I think he only had 3 carries. You know what I mean? So, I mean, Gainwell's the guy, man. The question still is, how much money do we put out? I don't want to say you put too much out there because Penny hasn't played yet, so that could play a role in something or with his with the amount of carries he gets. I want to say maybe it's got to be under 20. I want to say maybe the 12 to 15 range. I think you can get. I think that's a good kind of a Faab kind of price for him. Just because you don't know, because Penny was a healthy scratch, and you don't know how much production he's going to take away from him. So, but I still think you're going to get good usage out of a Gainwell. He does everything, man. He can run between the tackles, and he's going to catch it.
Yeah, I like him as a player. I don't think he's particularly explosive or anything like that. Like, I don't think he's going to be like a league winner. But for guys like Billy, man, like if you're just looking for, you just need a running back to like start. Like, I think Gainwell would be a good one. Like to get you 10 points, maybe. You know. So yeah,
for cheap.
Yeah,
to get him like 10 to 15, and you can get Gainwell. I think you're gonna get. I think that's a pretty good steal, man.
You saying $10 to $15 or 10 to 15%?
I think $10 to $15, man. I don't think nobody's gonna spend $20 on him. I mean, depending on like, I got only $100 in one. Oh, that's in a different. So I got Faab in like 5 different leagues. So I have 150 in one of them. So it all depends. Like if you have $200, then yeah, you know what I mean. So I guess the percentage would probably be right. Maybe you want to do like, I would say a 7%, 6% type. I guess if you're looking at it like that, I guess that's the kind of way to explain it.
I think they agree with you. We're just not really sold on the Eagles, man. Like that.
Yeah,
I could see Swift starting like next week even. So,
but to have Gainwell just because of the injury-prone running backs, that's another reason why. Gainwell, I know he got nicked up a little bit, but he's gonna be there all year, man.
That's a good point. You know, it's like running back Hunger Games, man. I think Gainwell will make it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. All right. Next on the list, we have Kyron Williams. Billy, this is Billy's guy in the chat. He's been riling people up saying he's dropping $50 plus.
Boy said he dropped $20 on him.
Kyron Williams came out of nowhere to get really, I think he dominated the snaps, but Akers got most of the touches. But a lot of that was garbage time. I'll admit, Kyron Williams looked good. Looked solid, a couple touchdowns. Me personally, I don't know if I'm a believer yet completely. Just it's almost like the Eagles. Like I don't really trust the McVay backfield. But if you do get the guy that is the lead backfield, the lead running back in a McVay offense, more often than not, they're going to be fantasy viable or very valuable in fantasy. Kyron Williams, I'll just throw my budget. I think he's probably, I don't know, 15% guy. 10%.
I was just going to say that, 15%, man.
Yeah, probably 15%. I think that's fair. And 15% in our league, that would be like $20.
Yeah, I talked to a couple people. They're talking with Faab bucks in other leagues that I'm not in, and they're going around the $20, $20 about like average about what they're going for.
You never know. You might get one of those randoms though that come out and drop like $70.
I got $55 on them. Billy,
if you don't put 55 on them, if I don't see 55 at 1 a.m. in the morning when the waivers run, I'm going to be disappointed.
I'm not even going to sleep tonight. I'm going to wait up the whole time and just look at my phone and just keep hitting refresh. And then at 12:01 or whenever it goes through, I'll send a text. That way you wake up. You don't have to wake up to ESPN. You're going to wake up to my text. I'll take care of it, man.
I think somebody swoops in and gets them for more.
Somebody's gonna overpay. Do not blow your load on this guy. Do not blow your load on this guy, man. Hey, if you really want this guy bad, spend the $30 on him, man. That's what it's gonna take. You don't need $50 to get this guy. I'm telling you, do not spend $50 on Kyron Williams, man. Please don't.
Oh man. Can't tell me what to do with my money.
Yeah, it's my money.
Oh man, yeah, I like Kyron Williams. It's gonna be here. Okay, if
hey, he's coming to the nerd gang, bro. He's coming to the nerd gang. You guys want to see how much I drop? Oh, you guys gonna laugh, bro. I'm telling you. I'm only here for just this segment. Kyron Williams, I'm dropping $55, maybe 58. Who knows? But it's gonna. You guys gonna look at that shit in the morning. You guys are gonna laugh. Being like, no way, this guy just overpaid. I overpaid for Kyron. I'm not playing.
You want him that bad, huh?
Kyron, I paid for. I'm overpaying for Kenny Gainwell. I overpaid for who else did I overpay for? What's that other dude name? Kendrick Bourne. They're all coming.
My boy is blowing his load week 1. The load has been blown.
I probably got like $29 left, bro.
Hey man, you got to hit the waivers. I've always said you got to hit the waivers hard week 1, because if you don't hit the waivers hard week 1, man, and you don't get these guys, because right now is kind of what's showing a little bit. Like week 1, week 2, you kind of find a no, but after week 1, you kind of see the volume you're getting out of these guys, and if you don't, it gets really scarce going into like week 3, week 4. Everything kind of settles in. The only time you get to hit waivers is somebody gets hurt, and if you have the money, then you have to blow your load that way. But if you can even it out like this, because there's so many different guys you can kind of grab, and you might be able to grab all the guys you want because you have all the money right now up front. So it's not a bad idea, but it's just spread it out evenly.
It definitely sucks, but the position I'm in, you got to think about this. I just lost JK. I got Khalil Herbert, and then I had Evan Hall and a couple other little like cuffs. Like I had cuffs. I didn't have like actual running backs. So obviously that's why I got to spend like I've dropped $55 on Kyron Williams just to make sure that I grab you know what I'm saying, this running back, at least in fantasy family.
I know what running back. I know what your running back. You other one you're talking about, but good luck with that one.
In TIYF, man. You know what I'm saying? Like
good luck. I got 50 on the other one, so you ain't getting in.
You have no idea, bro, what I'm doing right now. I am overpaying. I'm overpaying.
And TIYF.
In both leagues, bro. Both leagues. I'll show you guys, but if I do that, then that just gives I gotta go up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, real quick, since we got you, real quick, how'd you do on fantasy, Billy?
All right. I whipped on Charlie. Like I said, I was gonna whip on Charlie, right? You know what I'm saying? He talked all that mad shit, talking about I had a last place team. He was just like 2 weeks ago in the chat saying I had a last place team. It was something about Waddle ain't this, Waddle ain't that. And then he tried to solidify that DJ Moore pick. How did that work out for you, Charlie? How did DJ Moore work out for you?
Come on, man. My boy was toast. He was toast. Let him go.
We were supposed to bet on every game, and he's like, I'm not betting no more, guys. I'm out. I just don't want to come in last place now. I drafted a bad team. I can't do this no more. Like, leave me alone. and then I got curb stomped. I didn't get curb stomped, actually.
It was actually a close game.
It was closer than it should have been, to be honest with you. Like, unfortunately, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, they bent me over, and they had their way with me a little bit. So I mean, but Ayuk, man, I'm praising Ayuk all week, all year. I think he's solid enough. If I was even looking at it, dude, because it's just crazy. If I would have played Puka, like instead of Evan Hall, like I changed it out at the last minute. Even like I don't know why I did that, but I felt like Evan Hall was gonna have a decent afternoon. Which that second half, he was looking like he was getting the start over Deion Jackson. Like it looked like something happened, and Evan Hall was gonna have himself a good afternoon, starting to catch out the backfield. And then the beginning of that third quarter came down with that leg injury, knee injury, whatever they're calling it. So it was very unfortunate, but Puka definitely, he was definitely who I thought he was going to be. So going forward, he's definitely in the lineups.
We're almost there to Puka. We're almost there to Puka.
It may not be as consistent as I thought, but other than that, man, Tyler Bass, I thought he was going to drop 30, but unfortunately, Josh Allen, man.
Boy, said Tyler Bass dropped 30 though.
No, yeah, I was waiting for it. I was like, here comes the 34 points that I need. 34 points that I need. But if I would have had Derek Carr and Puka in the lineup, I probably think I would have got you by like 1 point or something like that. I was like doing it like,
yeah, we could play. If I would have did this, I would have did that. We could play it all night.
I was looking
at
it.
If I would have started Jacoby Myers, it would have been mollywopped. But you know what?
It would have
been. At the end of the day.
But hey, you got to go with your key starters, and that's what happens, right?
Key starters. You got to go with the way you drafted.
Chase.
Yeah, I mean, you're never not gonna start those guys. You just gotta roll with the punches. I got that stack too in another league, and it did the same thing. So I mean, it's unfortunate, but
1 week, you gonna see, bro. You gonna see. Puka, I mean, yeah, he may not do nothing against the Niners, but he's probably. I think Puka is good enough to get at least 10 points against the Niners. Like that's like.
Oh, who is 19 Problems?
I'm getting Jose. All of a sudden, his internet
Oh, it's
works. Huh?
Jose.
Yeah,
He's scared to be on the. He's scared to be on the pod.
he can't go live, but I mean, I guess when you got a dial up, you know, you're able. It takes about 5 minutes to send a message to upload.
Hey, we're gonna get 10 minutes in. He's be like, "Yeah, that Joshua Kelly guy."
My boy's sending through Morse code right now, so don't worry. It takes a little longer to get through to us.
Yeah, I know. He was talking mad shit about me losing. And then look what happens if Josh Allen does the same thing. Because I hit him up about Algier, and he's like, if it wasn't for you would never even had the 80 points. But I'm like, all right. And then next thing you know, look, my team like outscored him. So that's what happens.
Yeah, Lee John was the lowest scorer in that week.
Oh,
for my league.
Did Vic pay you that $10?
Oh, not yet.
No, yeah, yeah. Remember, in our league, the lowest points, he only got 50 points. I think him and Charlie got, the runners up for the worst team in the league.
Oh man.
At least Charlie got Kelsey.
Yeah, at least he got Kelsey in his back pocket.
At least Charlie got Kelsey. Yeah, no, but great pot tonight, fellas. I'm about to actually go lay back down. I just wasted all my energy on that shit.
All right, catch you later. All right, so let's see. We talked about Kyron Williams. Went on a big rant about him. Jaylen Warren, rostered in 46% of leagues. Like we talked about, committee with Najee Harris. I don't think he had the best stat line, but usage looks promising.
Yeah, the snap counts is definitely something to keep an eye on. It's just, if he's out there on the field, there's just that opportunity, depending on what play is called. You know what I mean? I don't know. I liked him last season when Najee was kind of like up and down, and they had the struggles on the offensive line. And anytime Jaylen Warren was in there, he was actually productive, and he had more yards per carry every time he touched the ball. And he looks good out there when he gets the touches, but just got to get the right play calls for him when he's on the field.
Yeah, I agree. He'll probably have better weeks. Fab percentage if he's out there, 10%, something maybe a little more.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be good. I guess the question is, does he have a chance to take over the backfield? I don't think so, but I know like a lot of fantasy Twitter like would talk about him being like the RB1. I don't see it. I think he'll just be a good complementary player.
Yeah,
but with handcuff ability. Najee goes down, then Warren probably be like a top 15 guy or something. So, all right, that's it for the running backs. Let's go ahead and talk about some wide receivers. So, number one on the list, Puka Nacua. Monster week. 15 targets, 119 yards. I'll admit, I wasn't a believer, man. Like, I just and in the first, his first name, I just kind of think of puke, and I was like, I'm not sold.
I looked at his picture, Ryan, and I just didn't think that he could be a guy that can, put up 119 yards. When I saw it, he had all this fluffy hair, and I was like, you know what, just just the picture didn't look good to me. You know what I mean? Just the way his hair stuck out of his helmet. It didn't. But you know what? He proved me wrong, man. He proved me wrong. The guy, went in there and made a name for himself week one. He's got a tough matchup going into week two against the Niners. So that's a little discouraging because you kind of want to, if you're looking for receiver help and you want him right off the bat, and it's kind of hard to kind of start him right away. I mean, maybe he's probably still a good flex. I think, like Billy said, probably could still get you 10 points. But yeah, man. Out of nowhere. I mean, I was part of the 88% or 87% that didn't believe in him. So that I just want to shout out to that 2.3% that owns them in fantasy leagues. I know Billy's one of them. The 2.3%. That's crazy. That is crazy. You might have found him something there. I just look forward to seeing what he's going to bring the whole year.
It's good stuff. I think, all right, so the next question is like, all right, we know he's going to get hyper-targeted while Kupp is out, right? I think part of it is Stafford too. Stafford looked really good, and Stafford just has this thing about him where he likes to hyper target receivers. What happens when Kupp comes back? If he does come back, my guess is if Puka's for real, like let's say he's a legit, like he goes the next 4 or 5 weeks being like a solid wide receiver 2, putting up good stat lines. what happens when Kupp comes back? I think personally, maybe he goes into like that old Robert Woods type role where, is still a pretty decent receiver, decent fantasy producer, but obviously Kupp's the number one guy. I think that'd be the best outcome. And then if that's the case, then that's a slam dunk, like pick up off the waiver wire. Like you would draft that guy probably round 6 or 7 would be my guess. So as far as Faab budget, man, I think he's probably, if he's on your waiver wire, which 98% of leagues he probably is, I would put 20% or maybe even more. I think he's worth it.
Round that into dollars, I would say like $25 to $30. You're looking at for sure, man. And if you really want him, throw that 40 spot on him, man. I think 40 will get the deal done on some leagues for sure. But yeah, 20 to 25 for sure. That's what the going price is going to be for him. Just because it's week 1, and you don't want to throw it. You don't know if he's for sure yet, because you don't want to throw like $60 and knowing, oh yeah, this guy's going to be this. He's going to do this all year. I don't know that. But to get him on your team and get him rostered, maybe $25 to $30.
The more I think about it, seeing what I saw on Sunday, if I had him on my team, I would start him next week. So just thinking that way, I probably would drop $40 on him if he was available. I would probably be in the 40 to 50 range, just because it's pretty clear.
That's guaranteed. That's guaranteed getting him right there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. Like next week, it's a tough match against the Niners, but he's gonna get the targets. At least until Kupp comes back. I think the thing to consider though is just when and if Kupp comes back, you're gonna see a downtick. But maybe it's not like a massive downtick to where he's just benched. But at least for the first, these next few weeks, you should see a pretty healthy target share.
So if you've been watching the pod, Billy's been praising this guy the last week or two. So if you picked him up and listened to Billy, you sent him a thank you letter. If you already have him rostered, and you don't got to waste that Faab money.
Yeah, he got that one. He nailed
it. He nailed it.
Yeah. That's a good one. So next on the list is running mate Tutu Atwell. I know I kind of talked about that one just like as a throwaway, but
I thought it was as a joke.
It kind of was a joke, but
yeah,
it was. He got 8 targets, 119 yards. I'm less confident about Tutu. Like I would start Puka over him, but if you need a receiver, you could go out there and get Tutu. Faab budget on that, no more than 5% for me. Not even, like a 2 to 3% probably.
I don't even think I'm touching him, man. I think if he slips through the crack and he's there, yeah, I'll take a chance. But I'm not wasting any money on Tutu because I think Puka has more upside, and then you also got people have Van Jefferson's there too. I'm not high on him either, but there's 3 receivers out there, but yeah, I'm not sold on Tutu yet, but just because he's been there longer. I think this is his 3rd year or something.
Yeah,
he tends to have a couple of games where he kind of like, okay, he has 100 yards here. This might be that one game where he has 100 yards, and then he goes back to 2 catches for 15. So
exactly.
I've seen it before with Tutu.
All right, the next 2 guys on the list, I would be willing to spend a little bit more money for these guys. So first up, Zay Jones, Jaguars, rostered in 29%, nearly 30% of rosters, had 16.5 fantasy points, 7 targets. Zay Jones is the clear number 2 in Jacksonville. So, I know I talked about this a couple weeks ago from preseason. So one of the concerning things from preseason that I saw after preseason week 1 was that Christian Kirk. Remember I told you this, Paul? Christian Kirk was only in on 11 personnel sets. Anytime they would go 3 wide receivers, then Christian Kirk would get in. Anytime they went 2 wide receivers and they loaded up on 12 personnel, like 2 tight ends, it was only Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones. That was it. And that's exactly what happened in week 1. To me, it's pretty clear Zay Jones is the wide receiver 2 on this team. And like I was talking about a minute ago, this team's going to pass a lot. They're probably, the projection I saw, they're probably going to be in the 630 to 640 pass attempt range. which is definitely viable for a wide receiver 2 in that offense to be good for fantasy. So Zay Jones, man, if he's out there, so I think there is one league where Zay Jones is available where I don't really need a receiver, but if I did need a receiver, I would absolutely go out and spend some money for Zay Jones. So I don't know if Charlie's still watching this. Now he's asking about wide receivers a while ago. Zay Jones would be a guy I would go get. Like, he's the wide receiver 2 in that offense, but he's going to be good. 7 targets, not bad either. He's probably going to catch a lot of touchdowns. What do you think, Paul?
I don't feel the same way with Zay Jones just because of the consistency with I've seen him over the years, even with the Raiders. I'm going back to like his Raider days. Like, he was there when he covered when our receivers were hurt, and he was the number 2 receiver on the team. He just wasn't consistent. He has these games where he'll put up 20 points, but then he goes cold for 2 or 3 games, and then you don't see anything, So, I mean, Zay Jones has always been that way with me. I'm not, for me, that's just how I see it. I kind of followed him closely when he was on the Raiders, and I still kind of follow him now, and I see him out there. But he's that spot starter receiver. You just got to find that right spot for me to be able to like put him in that starting lineup or even that flex. I mean, I guess if you really need help, a flex wouldn't hurt. But yeah, I'm not spending a lot of money on this guy for me, man. I'm more of like 10%, like looking at this guy for me.
Yeah, Zay Jones, he's available in TIYF too. You hear that, Charlie? He's out there.
Blow your load.
Yeah, I would say he's definitely not a blow your load guy, but I would probably be more around the 15%, 10 to 15. Honestly, in this league, it might not take that much to get him. If you're really being honest, like it's probably not going to be that much. But
$7.99.
Yeah, probably $8. There you go.
Put an 8 spot on. I think you can get him.
I like him though. Like I think maybe not the talent. Like you said, he's probably inconsistent, but I think the opportunity is going to be there. And a lot of times that's like more than half the battle. So
yeah.
His snap percentage is high, like in the 90%, which is what you want. You want a guy that's on the field most of the time. So good one there. Next one on the list is Romeo Doubs, Green Bay Packers. So Romeo is 19% owned, had 2 receiving touchdowns, monster week. I like him. I'd say the only asterisk is that Christian Watson was out. What do you think? What do you think about Doubs?
Yeah, but I think him still being Watson and Doubs being a 1 and 2, I still think he's going to be on the field, and he's still trying to build that reputation with or consistency with his tight end. I mean, his receivers. So both of them being on the field, I mean, he's not going to be losing any snap counts or anything. I honestly like Doubs just because he's more that possession, that blanket type of guy. Christian Watson's your high flyer. Going, zing it down, have him fly sweeps, all that kind of stuff. He's your speedster, basically, is what I'm saying. And he's going to get those deep balls. But Doubs is going to get you that, those maybe 7-8 catch games. And, in the end zone, when he get to the red zone, he's that big guy that you toss it up and he's going to come down with it. I mean, he had a couple of just kind of right there on the goal line. They just tossed it up to him and he just comes down with it. That guy, he's the playmaker when it comes to the red zone. I like him. I like him a lot. I'm willing to spend some money on this guy because I mean, it looks like my boy Buddy Love kind of liked him there at the end. Only thing is he got a little hurt last season. I know he came into this game with a hamstring, but he's still suited up, so that's a good sign. He's worth picking up, man, for sure. But it just depends. I'm still debating on it. I know I'm still thinking about it on how much to put on this guy to get him.
Probably 10%.
Think so? What if I really want him?
Actually, you know what? Like,
it's gonna take
Romeo Doubs is one of those guys in fantasy football that I feel like most people see Romeo Doubs, they see Green Bay Packers, and they're like, I want that guy. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, he's just one of those really popular guys. I've never been like that sold on him. Mm-hmm. So for me, it would be like 5 to 10%, but I could see somebody else going 15, 20%. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, you know how we always, like, all of us just kind of have our implicit bias on like certain teams and types of players and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dobbs never fit the mold for me.
Do we got any Packer fans? Oh, we do. So I don't know if he's available in the TIYF league, but
yeah, I just checked. He's not available in either one of the leagues that we're in.
Yeah. So
for local guys, you could forget about it.
But yeah, Dobbs is nice, man. I mean, what is it? Only 19% owned in the rest of ESPN.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we're really doing our homework in the local leagues here. Every time I look, it looks like these guys are already picked up. But shout out to the guys doing their homework in our leagues and making it that much tougher for us to find these free agents. But I like Dobbs a lot, man. I think he's available in one of my leagues. That's why I'm still kind of debating on how much to put down on him. I probably have to put a 25 spot on him. I think just to lock him up for sure.
Yeah. All right. Next on the list, Kendrick Bourne, 2% owned, 24 fantasy points. Anything Patriots, no thanks. Like, I know he had a big week. Happens from time to time with Kendrick Bourne, but I could see them coming out and he has like 4 points next week. You know.
Yeah. I'll second that, man. I'm not spending any money on him. I'm not a fan. And I've seen it happen with so many wide receivers, especially with New England. They like to run the ball a lot. And you got Mac Jones throwing him the rock. Yeah, he had one good week. I need to see that. I need to see that on a every week basis for me.
Exactly. Next on the list, Rashid Shaheed, New Orleans Saints, 2% owned. Had 19 fantasy points. This guy is the deep threat on that offense with Derek Carr. I like him, but he's one of those players, like, when do you start him? You know what I mean? Like when do you play this guy? Because I wouldn't shock me if like next week it's 3 points. You know, and then the following week it's 20 points.
You gotta remember, Ryan, this is a double flex in both these leagues.
Yeah. I mean,
he's still worth the double flex spot, right?
Yeah.
You don't think so?
I mean, maybe if you have like one of the bottom end rosters, sure, but yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Think about your team last season and how everything went later on in the year. We're talking about it. Injuries are gonna pile up. You know, to have this guy on your roster, he looked good. I mean, he looked good week one. They got a new quarterback, Derek Carr, who loves to throw the ball to everybody. You got to think about that too. The quarterback play. Derek Carr is going to throw it to whoever. He's not going to find a favorite target because Adams ain't there. His college teammate ain't there, so he's going to spread the ball to whoever is open, and that's the good thing. That's the only good thing about Carr is everybody's going to get some love. But I think for a double flex, I think it's a pretty solid pick.
Yeah. What would you spend on him?
I'm not overpricing this guy. They got a lot of weapons out there in New Orleans. You got the Michael Thomas and you got the Olave. Especially if Michael Thomas gets hurt, man. Think about that too. Because Michael Thomas, he's been out the league for a minute just because of injuries. So I think $15. I don't think 20. I don't think you need to spend 20 on him. I think about $15 to get the job done. Maybe even 12. I think you'll be all right.
Billy says 30.
Yikes, Billy! Billy's not. Save some money, my boy. Jeez. Yeah, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on $30. I mean, you're over. You're really got him overpriced for $30 right there, my boy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I like the guy. He's definitely a deep threat. From an analytics standpoint, the guy is like off the charts for like a deep ball receiver. Is he the number 3 target? I don't know.
I don't know either, man. I'm just going off week one.
Yeah.
Man.
All right.
You really don't like this guy, huh?
Anyways. So let's move on. Every time I see his name, That's what I think. Sorry. So if you guys aren't watching the stream, I just butchered his name on purpose, but this is how I see it. All right, let's move on to the quarterback. So first up, we got Jared Goff, 48% owned in fantasy, QB 10 overall last season. Man, Paul, we talked about Goff a lot, like over the offseason. If he's playing at home in a dome, start him. If he's on the road, sit him. So with all that said, if you need a quarterback, especially in TIYF, if you need a quarterback in a 6-point passing touchdown league, I like Goff a lot. Like, I think he's somebody you could pick up and play when he's playing at home. For Faab budget, 5%, I don't know, 10 maybe.
Just going off of, he's only owned in 50% of the league. So he scored 14 points in week 1, right? But he was on the road, right? And we all said he had a good game with 14 points. All right. So just a heads up, he has the next 2 games he plays are at home. So if you really need a quarterback,
good point.
He's got 2 home games coming up. And if he's playing that good on the road, I mean, they got the running game going, basically, is what I'm saying. They got the running game going. That's what really kept them into that game, and that's what kept Pat Mahomes on the sideline. But yeah, Fat Bucks, man. I mean, I don't know how bad you really need a backup quarterback, unless you have Aaron Rodgers and you really need one bad.
Good point.
So that could be in play also. If you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, you're gonna have to spend some money here. You're gonna have to spend
That's a really good point.
Yeah, you're gonna have to spend some money here, man. And quarterbacks, they get scarce really quick. And I hate to say it, man, you're gonna almost have to top out on this guy. And I want to throw this out there too. There's other people in this league who will pick this guy up just so you don't get him, because they don't want to play him later. I know a lot of people that do that on a consistent basis. So, man, to put a price on him, oh man. And you have Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, you can
maybe
$40. Nah, you got to put 40, man.
40? Oh, you know what? Maybe you're right. I remember last year, Goff had a good week, and then Trey picked them up for like $40, $45, I think.
Yeah.
They spent a lot.
Yeah. You got to put a 40 burger on him, man. I'm pretty sure. If you need quarterback help, you're going to get it out of Goff this season. That running game looks pinpoint sharp, man. You're really going to have to just spend some money on him, and I think he could have a good year as your quarterback if you desperately need one.
Yeah, that's a good point. High-powered offense too, like it's you want that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I think we could say the same thing about the next guy too, Brock Purdy. I mean, that offense is efficient, tons of weapons. I like him more in the TIYF league for us, 6-point passing touchdown. I think he could be like a viable starter. I mean, I think he actually goes at a higher price than Goff. I think after this first week, seeing what they did against Pittsburgh, probably, I guess I'm going off what you said, probably be another $40. I mean, if you want to go after that guy,
I'm gonna spend 50 on him, Ryan.
50.
Just because there's
I don't think he's available.
Just because there's Niner fans.
I think all the Niner fans in our leagues took him up already.
Yeah, Brock Purdy is not available in not one of my leagues.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does that tell you? I play with too many Niner fans.
Yeah, I've already succumbed to the fact that I'm never gonna get any Raiders or any Niners in any of my leagues. So will never happen. So all right. Yeah, Brock Purdy, I like him. I think he's a good pickup. Spend the money, get him. I think he's gonna be solid this year. On a high-powered team. You want quarterbacks on good teams. And Goff and Brock Purdy both on excellent teams. So next guy here, Jordan Love, Green Bay Packers, 15% owned. Had a great week last week. I sort of like him. Like I think he's been impressive in the preseason. He's been consistent. He's got some pretty decent weapons around him with Christian Watson, who hasn't played yet, but you got Dobbs, you got Musgrave. Got really good run game with Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. You could do worse. Like, I think it's not bad. Like, he's definitely a guy. I think he's going to probably be another popular pickup, especially being with the Packers. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for sure. In my league, I think Ant's going to be focusing on this guy. TIYF, solid pick by Manny. I kind of told him to pick this guy. Don't worry, man. I got your back. I was like, how you can be a Packers fan and not have Buddy Love on your team? Yeah, you're right. It kind of sold him that pick a little bit. Hey, panned out, man. Hey, he looks good. He looks good. You know what? I was right before week 1 happened, man. I was like debating, like, dude, I really want to pick up Jordan Love just because of the upside, and you just never know. And I was just like, it's week 1. I didn't want to drop like a Devin Harris or guys. I didn't know anything about how many, attempts they're going to get. And I was like, I don't want to dump any of these guys, but I really wanted Jordan Love, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on it. But yeah, I was pondering it for a while just because I was thinking for the following year, like keeper. So, but yeah, man, now I got to pay the piper to get him in the league for sure. I know there's going to be guys that are looking at him. It's going to suck. Probably $30 as he's going. He's going to go a little bit under the last 2 guys we talked about. But just because he's still young, he played the Bears, and we don't know too much about him yet. Like, can he keep this up all year? So that's why I think he goes around $30.
Yeah, there's some allure there still. Him being a young player, like, you don't know, he could come out and tear it up again this next week, and now you got a QB1 on your hands.
Puts a dud next week. You never know.
Yeah. Who are they playing? They're playing the Falcons.
Falcons, I think.
Falcons. That's gonna be like 50 rush attempts. Man, you might be able to get them cheaper next week. Now I think about it. So I don't know. All right, last quarterback we got here, Matt Stafford, 30% owned. Matt Stafford looked good. I thought he looked impressive. Looked like the old Matt Stafford. Sharp, pinpoint passes, throwing bullets down the seam. Had 14 fantasy points, so didn't have the biggest outing. But just from the eye test, I thought he looked great. If he gets, it's going to be one of those guys, like when he gets cut back, he's going to, probably be viable. And at least in TIYF, his 6-point passing league, and you get cut back, like you could probably start this guy and be okay. Faab budget, I would say maybe around the 10% range, 15%. I'm not going to break my back to get him. But
but when Cup comes back, I think like you said, he's gonna be solid, man.
Yeah, the year, if I remember right, the year that Cup had the Triple Crown, Stafford, I think he just barely was a QB1.
And that year, I thought he had 40 touchdowns that year
in Fantasy Family. But if he was in TIYF, he was probably like top 6.
Crazy.
That's the difference, man. Like, I look at quarterbacks totally different TIYF. Like in that league, I like Brock Purdy. I like Stafford. Like, I like Goff. They're all viable because it's just, at the end of the day, it's not rushing touchdowns. It's just touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, Stafford's cool. It just depends on your league setting. I think if you're playing in standard scoring, 4-point passing touchdown, then he's probably not as valuable.
He's solid backup. Let's just say it like that, man. I think he's a solid backup, man.
Yeah, I'll give him that. All right, let's move on to tight ends. Getting close to the end here. So we got Zach Ertz on the list, 39% owned. Had 10 targets, but it's the Cardinals. Let's just put it out there. Tight end was a shit show this last week. Your tight end 1 on the season right now is Hunter Henry, and your tight end 2 is Hayden Hurst. So Zach Ertz, 10 targets is definitely nice. If you need a tight end, you might have to put a decent amount of money to pick him up just because he's got the name value too. I don't know, 10, 15%.
Yeah, tight ends. That hurt, man. that was like, we might as well not even put the tight end out there. It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah. Zach Ertz, okay. Sam Laporta, I thought he looked pretty good. I think he's going to be okay. Probably be good for 5 to 6 points a week, which is not, not league winning, but as long as they're not getting a 0, I think it'd be okay. I kind of feel the same way about Luke Musgrave. He had 4 targets, 3 catches, 50 yards. He's definitely not the number 1 option in this offense. but I think he's going to get some looks, just like Sam Laporta. So might be worth a waiver wire stash there. I wouldn't spend too big. Laporta, I think I'd spend more for, to be honest. Like with the Lions, I think I'd probably do like 15% if I need a tight end, 20% if I really need a tight end. Luke Musgrave, maybe a little lower, 10 to 15%. And if you really want to dive to the bottom of the dumpster bin, Hayden Hurst, man. With a rookie quarterback, a lot of times what you find out is a rookie quarterback, they end up using that check down or that safety blanket position with the tight end a lot. Hayden Hurst, he actually had 7 targets, 15 points. I had seen on fantasy Twitter that he was getting talked about quite a bit as, like a sleeper tight end, and it looked, kind of showed out a little bit. So, with the way tight ends is right now, it might not be too bad.
Yeah. Well, quick shot on Sam Laporta. When I picked him up, and I've been talking a lot about this guy, he played against the Chiefs, who played really good against the tight end. So for him to put up like 6 to 7 points on the tight end, a defense that plays very well against the tight end, that's where I'm looking forward to seeing him progress as the year goes on, especially with same thing as Luke Musgrave. I think by like week 5 or 6, when these rookies get settled in, I think that's when they're going to start taking off, and you'll start seeing it even maybe at the end of the season, because that's how rookies kind of pop off. Like once it gets towards the end of the season, we're starting to get close to like week 10, then they get comfortable, they start getting used to the NFL life, and they just start sinking into the offense. That's why, it doesn't look, their stats don't look good now, but if you buy early now and try to hold on and stash them now, it's going to pay off. For me, I'm pretty sure, even Musgrave too. Yeah. Both those rookie tight ends are both going to pay off later on and as the season goes on.
I can see that. Yeah. It's a different NFL this year. Like, I think there was one stat from last season that tight ends just across the NFL had the highest usage in the passing game than they've had in like the last decade. It was kind of hard to notice it because Kelsey just dominated the rest of the field. But overall, tight end scoring was up last season. And if we look at it, there are a lot more tight ends this year, actually. Although this week was abysmal because we didn't have like the top end guys like an Andrews or a Kelsey. But overall, I think you're going to, like a Laporta or a Musgrave, you might end up, hitting on one of those guys. Another one. How do you feel about Michael Mayer on the Raiders? I know he didn't see many looks, but
I think the same thing. Kind of like Denver plays really good with their linebackers there against tight ends. It's all matchups, and that's what it's going to be like with tight ends. Especially if you don't have one of the top tier tight ends, you have to play the matchups. You have to look at the defenses, do a little homework, kind of dig a little bit. Or if not, just send it on the pod and let us know. I mean, we'll let you know, but. For me, anytime I'm looking at a tight end and I'm trying to just use a waiver or just kind of like go week to week on a tight end, always look at that defense against the tight end. Makes a big difference. I've been doing that for years. Usually it works most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't pan out, but most of the time it pans out if you can get a good solid matchup with the line if they're playing against easier linebackers who don't follow the tight end as much. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it just had a tough matchup week 1. I know Jimmy G. I know when he was with Kelsey over there, it was like, okay. And I really didn't watch a lot of Niner games last season. But I think he's a rookie. Like I said, you buy now, later on down the season, could actually pan out for you.
Agreed. Yeah, this tight end class was pretty strong too. So maybe Michael Mayer does actually, as the season goes on, starts to pan out. Who's the other guy there? Is it Cooper?
Austin Hooper?
Hooper, that's what Hooper. Oh, man, I forgot about him. Remember when he was a tight end one?
Yeah, it was with the Browns or something like that, and he had like 10 touchdowns one year.
I remember he was with the Falcons.
Was it the Falcons? It was one of them. Oh yeah, it was with the Falcons. He had like 10 touchdowns, and then he just got lost.
Yep. Never saw him again.
Never saw him again.
All right. That does it for tight ends, man. We had a pretty good list there. I think if we just want to recap before we shut down real quick, my number 1 on this list, probably Puka Nacua, if he's out there, would be my number one guy I'd go after. Number 2, I'd put Tyler Algier and Josh Kelly, followed by Kenneth Gainwell. Actually, I'd put Kyron Williams, then Kenneth Gainwell, then probably Zay Jones. And then at the quarterback position, I like Brock Purdy the best, then Goff. And then tight end, I would say definitely Laporta, and then Zach Ertz, Musgrave. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you with Puka. Puka 1. I like Dobbs a lot, man. I'm putting Dobbs up there high at 2, man. I'm a big fan of that of him. I'm not sold on Bourne yet, so I'm gonna leave him off. But for receivers 1 and 2, I'm gonna go Puka and Dobbs. Running back wise, I like Joshua Kelly. I like his volume. I think it could stay there. Tyler Algier, if he's there and available, that's a no-brainer for sure with the way the Falcons are using their running backs. So probably put Algier 1, then Kelly 2, and then Gainwell. Actually, Williams. Okay, I'm going to start over on that. I want to go Algier 1. I'm going to go Kyron Williams 2. Then I'm going to go Josh Kelly 3, and then Gainwell 4 in that order if you're going for your running backs in waiver order. I like all 4 of those running back. Even Warren, if you can sneak out Warren and get him on a cheap, I would try to get him also to put in that extra waiver. I think a lot of people are going to forget about Jalen Warren, and you might be able to get him a lot cheaper than expected. But he's got a high snap count, man. So don't sleep on him. And quarterbacks, I'm sold on Love, man. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid with Buddy Love, man. I'm gonna go ahead and try my best. I like Buddy Love's upside with the other compared to the other 2 quarterbacks. I think you can find something special in the keeper league with my boy Buddy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Oh yeah, keeper appeal. I like him. Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Well, that does it for Waiver Wire Show. We did a pretty good recap there. So you got all the information. You got all the stuff we were thinking. Kind of sucks that we're giving it all to you guys right before waivers. So
especially those local guys, yeah.
I'm not talking about anybody that's not in our league. It's the local guys. It's like
you guys are cheaters, man.
Giving you my thoughts. I know you're watching.
Cheaters.
Hey,
now I gotta spend more money than I want, Ryan.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Like, geez.
Just take my recommendations with a grain of salt and maybe add a few more percent on top of it.
That's all I can say, man.
Oh, man. And I want to shout out Paul real quick. Me and him both got the memo.
Hey. Hey.
Rocking the Fantasy Family shirt today. But yeah, it's going to be good. Looks like Billy's got 61 on Karen Williams. So
sheesh.
We're running up the price on them as we speak. So, all right, that's going to do it for TIYF. Appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and like, subscribe, do all the stuff that we always ask you to do. We appreciate it. And shout out to anybody on YouTube that followed us over this last week. We had seen like a 300% spike in our subscribers. So, or maybe it was like a 200%, but still really appreciate it. Love seeing all the watch hours and stuff. So, all right, that's it for us. We'll catch you on Friday. I think it's going to be Billy's show. So take it easy.
Later, guys. Go Raiders.